Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're undertaking a mission to analyze what might just be the most challenging skill of all.
The power of radical presence.
Exactly. It sounds so simple, right? But practicing it, it's maybe the single most radical path to liberation that's available to us.
Absolutely. And we're diving into a whole stack of sources today. Stoic philosophy, modern science, even champions.
All to understand why we're so bad at it. There's a Spanish saying, "Dime con quién andas y te diré quién eres." Tell me who you walk with and I'll tell you who you are.
Right.
And the sources really argue we become what we consistently pay attention to. But let's be honest. What are most of us attending to?
Ghosts.
Ghosts of the past and phantoms of the future. We're walking with anxieties and memories that aren't even in the room.
And that leads us straight to the philosophical bomb at the center of all this, right from the ancient Stoics.
Okay, let's hear it.
They argue that the one thing that keeps pulling us away, the one force, is rooted in a really simple equation. Hope and fear are the exact same thing.
Whoa, okay. That is a bold statement, especially because, we're always told fear is bad, hope is good, cultivate hope.
Exactly. So our mission in this deep dive is to unpack why that ancient belief that hope is just as corrosive as fear is maybe the sharpest tool we have for modern liberation.
And how we can stop abandoning our station.
So we can finally fully arrive in this moment.
Okay, let's unpack that immediately, but I gotta say with some healthy skepticism, Seneca, quoting Hikato, he gives us that killer line.
Cease to hope and you will cease to fear.
Right, but isn't some hope necessary? I mean, isn't hoping for a better tomorrow what gets us out of bed? Or are they just pushing for, like, a kind of fatalism?
That is the crucial distinction. They're not asking you to be a pessimist.
Okay.
They're asking you to be a realist. Why are hope and fear identical? Because they are both violent acts of mental time travel?
Mental time travel, I like that.
Yeah. They're projections into a future that we can't control and, that doesn't even exist yet.
So when you hope, you're sort of pre-living a fantasy.
And when you fear, you're pre-living a disaster.
Yeah.
Either way, you have just violently yanked your attention from the only place you actually live.
Which is this breath, this moment.
That's it.
So the problem isn't the emotion itself, it's the
abandonment, the desertion.
Yeah.
Precisely. You are deserting the present moment like a soldier fleeing their post. When we hope, we're leaning into a fantasy, demanding a certain outcome.
And with fear, we're recoiling from a nightmare.
In both cases, we've given away our only power, which is the struggle to be fully alive right now. You become absent.
And the sources are so clear about the cost of that absence. It's permanent.
It's terrifying when you think about it.
They talk about irretrievable time. You tear a day off the calendar and it's gone, dead. A small death.
That's right. That loss is permanent. It's written down in your rings of grain, never coming back.
But they don't just leave us there in despair, right?
No, not at all. They emphasize that the next blank page, the next second, is a fresh start, an opportunity.
But if you let that chance pass by unaware...
Because you're lost in hope or fear, that loss is written in permanent marker. You can't get that slice of life back. Ever.
This all sounds, frankly, exhausting. I mean, we are constantly told to chase success, plan for the future. How are we supposed to live without projecting?
And this is where Marcus Aurelius just comes in with a bracing dose of reality.
Okay.
He cuts right to the bone. He asks, so you were born to feel nice instead of doing things and experiencing them.
Wow. He's challenging the entire modern assumption that comfort is the goal.
Exactly. Look at the world around us. The plants, the birds, the ants, they're all going about their tasks, doing what they were designed to do.
They're doing their job.
Right. And Aurelius's point is that we were born to act, to do our job as a human being right now. Every single moment, whether it's hard or easy, it demands that we show up for it completely.
Not just wait for things to get better so we can finally feel hopeful.
Exactly.
So the only way to really show up is through attention. If we're present, we get to choose what we notice, and that choice, it literally remakes our experience of existence.
And Aurelius has that beautiful line.
We dye our souls with the color of our thoughts.
Yes, the lens we use isn't just filtering reality. It's actively dictating what reality is for us.
And we see this in some really vivid, high-stakes examples from the sources.
Oh, yeah. Think about Maximus, the warrior, in the opening of Gladiator.
Okay.
The scene is just horrific. Mud, death, a terrible battle is seconds away. It's the opposite of peace.
Right.
But in those seconds before the chaos, he is completely present. He's standing in the horror, but his attention goes to a small bird taking flight. the steam from his breath.
So it's not that he's ignoring the horror, he's choosing to see the bit of beauty that still exists within it.
Yes, he finds that stillness even when the world is screaming at him to panic or fantasize about winning.
And then you contrast that with someone like Winston Churchill.
Right, one of the most brilliant, high-functioning people of the last century, a master strategist, always projecting, always planning.
But he admitted he couldn't really see the world.
Not until he took up painting late in life. Because painting forces you into radical presence. You have to slow down and just observe.
The color, the texture, the light, all the stuff that was always there.
But was completely invisible to his racing mind.
That is so relatable. Our minds are always running the simulation of next week's meeting or whatever, and the actual world right now is just invisible.
And it's funny, often the unlikeliest teachers are the ones who redirect our focus, like our kids.
Oh, for sure. The helicopter example is perfect.
Right. Helicopters are always flying overhead. They're just background noise.
Until a child gets completely obsessed with one,
Yes.
and suddenly you stop, you look up, and you actually notice it for the first time.
Your focus gets redirected because you want to share the world with someone else.
And that desire to pray things out, to cultivate that eye, it makes us present. Which brings us to that story about Justice Sandra Day O'Connor.
It's a wonderful story. I mean, here's a Supreme Court justice dealing with the most complex laws in the country.
You'd think she'd be the definition of a mind lost in thought.
But the sources talk about how she would gather cicadas to send to curious kids. These gross but fascinating bits of nature.
So in the process of wanting to point out this little bug to someone else, she had to slow down, observe it, and just engage with the world.
It proves that we pay closer attention when we want to share something. It cultivates our own eye. And it goes back to that Thea Astley quote.
The more you try to be interested in other people, the more you find out about yourself.
Exactly. External presence feeds internal self-knowledge.
Okay, so if presence starts with the external world, it has to turn inward eventually. We have to face the parts of ourselves we don't really like.
Yeah, the internal contradictions.
And that's the real hard work, isn't it? The sources use Abraham Lincoln as, like, the perfect case study. He was deeply split.
Tremendously. He had this streak that was ambitious, even cruel in his early days. Loved rough sports.
But then he also had this incredible sensitivity, this deep melancholy.
And most people would deal with that by denying one side, projecting their own darkness onto others.
But Lincoln chose integration, what we'd call shadow work today.
He didn't deny his roughness. He channeled it into political courage, into endurance, and his sensitivity.
He channeled that into this profound empathy for the nation's suffering.
And crucially, this integration shaped his policy. Because he accepted his own internal darkness, he didn't just project pure evil onto the South.
He planned for a non-retributive peace, quoting scripture, "Judge not that ye be not judged."
He was completely authentic because he accepted himself. He even made jokes about his own looks, his high-pitched voice.
He defanged his own shame through acceptance.
Right. The goal isn't to get rid of your shadow side, but to integrate it so you can radiate authenticity and use everything you are constructively.
Which leads to another kind of presence, intellectual humility. We tend to think that people like Lincoln or Seneca had it all figured out.
Oh, yeah. But the sources give us this huge warning. The so-called wisdom of the present is often embarrassingly wrong.
We need to accept that our own era's certainty is probably going to look ridiculous to future generations.
And nothing proves this better than the medical practices the Stoics themselves championed.
Let's talk about the irony of Seneca.
It's
Yeah.
incredible. Here's Seneca, this brilliant mind championing bloodletting as a modern miracle. He's talking with such superiority about how earlier generations suffered without it.
And then
And then the Emperor Nero forces him to commit suicide. And the method chosen was to watch his own life literally pour out through his open veins.
the very practice he celebrated.
He became a victim of his own era's intellectual certainty. It's a dark, horrific irony.
And Marcus Aurelius's Dr. Galen wasn't much better.
Not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, for all his sophistication, he was treating eye inflammation with egg yolk and giving the emperor opium for pain.
Things we would never do today.
And the point isn't to mock history. It's to internalize that a lot of what we think we know right now, our nutrition, our politics, our social norms,
A lot of it's going to be proven wrong.
thoroughly. Even Seneca's moral superiority, treating his slaves kindly, it reveals the blindness of his time. He was still comfortable with owning people.
So intellectual humility is just realism. It demands we question everything. And Samuel Butler connects this back to our own lives.
He does. He said, It is our less conscious thoughts and our less conscious actions that largely mold our lives.
We have to question our own certainties because, as history shows, we are so wrong about so much.
So, if the past is dead, the future's a fantasy, and our knowledge is shaky at best, what does radical presence actually demand we do?
It demands a complete reorientation of how we move through time.
Yeah.
There's a simple instruction that kind of moves us from metaphor to action. Breathe in today. Breathe out yesterday.
The only moment that exists is this one, this choice. And this is where we have to shift our focus entirely to the process, not the outcome.
Right. Peter Ralston warns that focusing on results, it seduces us away from the quality of the process.
It's a trap. If you do the right thing just to get recognition or a reward, you are setting yourself up for disappointment because you don't control the outcome.
And the second that reward doesn't show up, your motivation just collapses.
Exactly. But if you do what's right, because that's what your integrated self is meant to do in this moment, that purpose is unshakable. It's sustainable.
It's fine to have SMART goals, but don't confuse the map with the territory.
Perfect way to put it. The sources remind us, with every choice you make, you create your life, not with every outcome you get. The focus has to be on the quality of the choice.
And quality, as Terry Laughlin talks about with skill mastery, it demands efficiency and presence. He says we're all energy-wasting machines.
But efficiency is possible if we just focus on quality reps, if we slow down and pay attention.
I love his philosophy of mastery. Anything, if done more quietly, is more effective.
It's about being present and careful, not just thrashing harder and hoping for a better result.
And that quiet, focused effort it's the price of admission to mastery. This connects right to failure.
It does. Tal Ben-Shahar says, either we learn to fail or we fail to learn. Failure isn't the opposite of success.
It's a necessary part of the process. It's the price you have to pay.
And nobody understood that better than Muhammad Ali. Champions aren't made in the victory parade.
They're made in the suffering of practice, the daily grind of staying present when it's hard. His philosophy is pure presence.
Suffer now and live the rest of your life as a champion. You have to fully show up for the suffering of the practice to earn the reward.
And we have to apply this to relationships, too. Thich Nhat Hanh urges us to practice deep listening.
Loving speech, yeah. You can't truly listen if you're just mentally composing your response.
Because that's just another form of mental time travel. You've abandoned the person in front of you.
It requires dropping all expectation, all anticipation, and just receiving, which reflects that paradox of power.
Raise your words, not your voice. Work hard in silence. Let excellence be the noise.
And finally, you connect this profound absence to the highest human stakes. Facundo Cabral observed, El hombre inventó la guerra por no conocer la vida.
Man invented war because he did not know life.
War is the ultimate failure of presence. It's abandoning shared reality for abstract fears and ideologies. The antidote, then, has to be radical presence, treating life with reverence.
That reverence, that radical presence, brings us full circle to this idea of usefulness. Peter Drucker, the great philosopher of management, he just cuts through all the anxiety with one question.
It's so piercing.
You spend so much time worrying about if you'll survive and worrying about how to be successful when you should be spending your time worrying about how to be useful.
Being useful now,
Yeah.
in this moment, solving the problem in front of you, gathering the cicadas, choosing the quality rep.
That is the active, present alternative to being torn apart by the fantasies of hope and fear.
We've asked you to choose presence. We've asked you to integrate your shadows, to be authentic, to question your certainties. Do what's right just because it's right.
Notice the helicopters. Gather the cicadas.
And love. As Einstein said, love is the most powerful force because it has no limits. It conquers all by accepting all. This deep dive isn't a philosophy for later. It's the choice that creates everything you are.
And that brings us to the final thought we want to leave you with, which really synthesizes this whole Stoic mandate. If hope and fear are both fantasies, and the past is dead, then the only moment you get is now, which ironically makes this very moment the only solid ground from which real, lasting, and authentic change can spring.
What will you do with it?